Good morning, Canada. Good morning, Philippines. Okay, today it's the month of February, almost towards the end of February now. It's 8:30, 8:25 in the morning,
It's almost getting
February
warmer.
20,
Weather's,
2023.
the weather's almost.
And it's almost getting warmer here in Vancouver. So this morning I had a good chat with my granddaughter, and she's only 3 years old. I'll post that my other from my other vlog. And I just had chat with my husband what he likes about Philippines. So to there are negative things. Every country has negative things and positive things. But I have interviewed my husband what he likes about Philippines since he has been living there on and off for many years
That's
since
11.
2012.
That's 11 years.
No, 2009.
Oh,
Since 2009.
14 years.
14 years. On and off living there, back and forth with when our children were small.
6 months each trip.
And now that just the two of us, because they're all adults now, and now have the grandchildren probably will take them. But anyways, back to the reason why I vlogged this morning is I'm from the Philippines. Obviously, I'm so biased about my own country where I was born, and I'm so biased about Canada, where my adopted country, because this is where my husband's from, and my children were born here, and my grandchildren were born here. There are two of them so far, two grandchildren. So back to the story. Um, Here's Mike, my husband of 33 years. I'd like to ask him, repeat what he said a while ago, what he likes about the Philippines. And maybe we can glean a little bit
I like
more.
you.
Oh, thank you. A little bit more what his thought about this. And I'm sure he has a different perspective than mine. So
Oh,
here,
no. Just let me be anonymous.
oh, he doesn't want to. Well, he had your bum and your behind were shown in the,
Oh,
in passing. You
that's
were
fine as long as you don't show my
on the
face. I
screen.
haven't shaved yet.
Yeah, you're saving. Okay, anyway, here goes Mike. He doesn't want to show his face while he's talking because he's eating at the same time talking. Okay, dear.
What do I like about Philippines other than you and family? Um, it's funny. It's a lot like when I was growing up in the 1970s. Everything is quite real, quite immediate, quite rugged. What are you doing?
Hang on a second. Okay, I'm just continuing it. Okay, go.
Okay. You gotta tell me when you started, when you stopped.
I just do a glitz a little bit there because it was. I thought it was off, but now
Oh,
it's on.
so anyway, yeah, so a lot of similarities actually, and I had a good childhood. And everything in between has been good as well. Um, the weather is very, very consistent in the Philippines, which means consistently hot but not cold, but not too hot, and you can find a way around it. My wife taught me that you go up high into the hills, it's cooler than down near the ground, which Canadians think is the opposite. If you live near the ocean, you have to get away from the ocean to get warm, but in the Philippines it's the opposite. In the tropics. And people like to talk. Um, People there like to eat, they like to go on little trips and visit people. And um, earlier I described, yeah, a lot of, I find in Philippines, people are creatively constantly creative.
Hmm.
Even
Yeah.
if they say they're not, you watch them for a while, you realize there's a real freedom of creativity in the Philippines. And and also, if you look at it, up until 300 years ago, it was thousands of small tribal groups through this huge archipelago, right from Australia all the way up to Japan. It seemed like the world was there, which it is. And if you sit back and watch, everybody there is so secure of their identity because we have always been here, is the way that Philippines thinks. We can go anywhere on the planet, we know where home is. And it's always been and it always will be. So there's a very reassuring sense of identity and security in the Philippines. But at the same time, that can get a bit out of hand if you observe the government and some of the presidents recently and whatnot. So it's a very exciting place to live. And the food, by the way, is totally amazing. If you go to a big event outside the city, which could be any weekend, and usually is, the guest of honor is a black-haired wild boar cooked over coal, which is called a...
It's called wild pig.
No, what do you call it when you cook it like this? What's that called again?
Lechon.
Yeah, so it's a wild boar lechon, which is nothing at all like pork. Very different. Very healthy meat too, by the way. But people there eat too much rice. But that's okay.
Yeah, rice is life.
Yeah. But everybody will find a place in the Philippines. That's what they should use for tourism, for their new catch. Everybody will find a place in the Philippines.
Yes. I think what you said a while ago before we started the video is that um, it's a artist heaven because it's a quite stimulating
Not artist,
freedom
creativity.
or creativity is fostered
You see it in agriculture?
inadvertently. I think inadvertently because
Not by necessity.
or by necessity.
When
Yeah.
you live a rough life, you have to be creative.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean that's the home of the world famous Jeepney, which was converted Jeeps, and then people started immediately making them at home, their own vehicles. That's the world capital of people making their own vehicles with a hammer and a rock, pounding out the sheet metal, going to the scrapyard or going to this abandoned vehicle and buying bits and pieces and throwing an engine in, hooking on parts, tying it up with whatever, with actually homemade welders, coat hanger, welding rods, anything will do. Just as long as it gets you where you're going and back home again, without too many flat tires.
Yeah, I think yeah you're right that
I've got proof
creativity
of that.
is
I was riding in a Jeepney one day where you paid to ride, like a minibus, and I knew for sure that the drive shaft was flopping around and it was going to fall off. So I said, well, it's a courteous thing to say, even though I knew the driver didn't own the vehicle. I said, when you hear that loud bang and you stop moving, it's going to be your drive shaft that fell off. So can you let us off at the next station or the next point where the other jeepneys stop, and I'll get out and you can keep the money. I'll pay. I'll just transfer it to another vehicle. And he didn't look too pleased about that. And then 10 minutes later, ka-thump. You know where you pay your electric bill?
Yeah,
in
that's right.
Sasa?
Sasa, yeah.
Oh, you were with me that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just thud. Oh, rah, rah.
Yep.
And then everybody knew what to do. He didn't say a word. The driver, conductor said, didn't say a word. Everybody just quietly got off. Yeah, he was in the ditch already.
That's right. You know, this is the thing is that if you are very much into follow the rules kind of thing, the country Philippines
Don't go to Philippines.
is not for you.
Yeah.
You'll get frustrated, okay?
Yeah.
This is for the creative-minded people.
And it's expected that you make up the rules as you go, as long as
You don't,
you don't step on people's toes.
as long as you abide by the law.
Hmm.
Still, the law of the Philippines
Well,
rules it there.
in the it's called in the spirit of the law
Well, yeah,
and
you
what the
still have
law
to.
intends.
Yeah, the law intends to do that, but but the creativity is allowed in the
For
Philippines.
example, the second biggest city in Southeast Asia, Davao, um, there are basically no road signs and maybe 10 stoplights in the whole city. Maybe 20, but very, very few for a city of 3 million. Because people have learned how to keep the traffic flowing
Hmm.
no matter what.
We have a saying about that. Kabalo mo tapak-tapak, or it's a band-aid way of making the traffic flow by looking out for your neighbors where he's going, and that's how you're going to make sure that you are not going to cause accidents. So far, there's not much accident
Very,
there.
very few
Very,
collisions.
very few collision, especially in the city.
Yeah.
And I was
And it
amazed at
looks
that.
like cows. If you've ever grown up on a dairy farm and how cows come in the evening to get milked and how they leave, it looks just like cows. Some cows just will pull out and stop and wait till the others go, and then they go at the end of the herd.
Yeah,
Other ones want to nose their way through,
yeah,
and the cows don't get injured.
yeah. They don't injure that way, and I think that's another form of creativity of Filipinos, especially in the province where we live. You
Oh,
just have to.
and one of the funniest thing in the Philippines, we'll burst out laughing every time. If we're in a place when we're shopping it gets a little crowded, these
Hmm.
little old ladies built like a diesel truck will come through and
Elbow you.
show them the
Just like,
push
woo.
and plow through the crowd. And because they're an elder, people stand back and don't
Yeah.
say a word.
What
They clear a path because
it
they know they're going to get an elbow.
That's right. It's the Philippines is really the land of high respect for elderly. So it's a good place to grow old.
Or also, even just 1 or 2 years difference is
Hmm.
respected.
Very, very much highly respected to elderly or to older than you.
Mm.
So the children are, including me. I was told and I was taught to respect those who are older than you because they have more experience. They have gone through hardship and good things and bad things in life, and you gotta respect them. That's what I was told and hammered in our head since we were a child.
Yeah, and if you don't listen,
And if you don't listen, you get a pinch.
yeah,
You get a swat on your butt.
yeah, and a
You gotta
public
listen.
scolding,
And also,
which is worse.
the worst thing is that you'll be looked down upon if you don't respect older people.
Yeah. But at the same time, when somebody's younger than you, in a certain sense, you have complete and open platform, or you're completely open to correct them and tell them what to do and
Yeah,
not to do, even among classmates or family members, or it's a unified community,
it's a unified community to correct them in a kind way
and hopefully encourage. But
and
Filipinos like to
encourage.
tease
And
instead of
but the
encourage.
teasing too is really bad. But generally, when a child is not doing the right thing, the entire community seems to gather together and talk to the parents and say something about why it should not be done that way. So it's
or
not no certain thing like policing, like
or occasionally taking the child by the hand and bringing them
bring
to the
them.
parents.
So
That's worst
the
case.
thing is that, so when you have children raised in the Philippines, you bring your children raised in the Philippines, and you let them loose um, among other kids there and play in the playground there. You can just rest in peace, because you know that there are more than one of you, more than one adult, more than one
Mm.
mother that's watching these kids.
And they're
Uh,
not gonna punch each other in the
no, they
face.
don't. They don't, because there's a lot of adults,
Oh no, they're trained.
parents, and they're trained not to do that. And if they do that, because children are children,
Mm.
other adults that can correct them, and usually Filipino parents are there correcting them, even though it's not their
And
parents,
if it's a
it's
bunch
not
of
their children.
Filipino adults and a couple of kids getting a bit of a squabble, the whole crowd will start laughing.
That's right.
There's no condemnation.
No, and so the saying that the entire village
Raise a child.
raise a child, that's true in the province of the Philippines.
Well,
Bec-
it
I don't
also
know about the
you
city
see
though.
that in subdivisions
Yeah, some subdivisions in Metro Manila
in the
outside the
bow.
center of Metro Manila, and even in Davao, in the subdivisions, people living in subdivisions, yeah, they lose their children there, and you don't have to really be there 24/7 when they play, because there's a lot of parents too watching their kids, and including your kids, they watch them.
In the West, they call it co-op. In the Philippines, they call it normal.
It's a normal thing, yeah, to do that in the Philippines. So when my mother arrived here, and she wants to go to church, and we live in this apartment that has a compound, and she just said, let them play there. Okay, yeah, let them play there, but make sure that we keep an eye on them too at the same time, because no parents there's looking after them.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was shocked about that. So like, what? We're going to stay around and watch them while they play? Yeah, that's how it is here. I said, oh my goodness. Well, in the Philippines, it's not like that, but ma, this is not Philippines. This is Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest thing. So I said to,
But then, at what age did she start taking them to church?
she's
2.
at the age of 2,
Yeah.
walking to church. She started taking them to church at 2 when they start walking. And so my mother took my kids to the church at the age of 2 without telling me, but then she
And
just want to go ahead
and at
and
the
do
age
it.
of 2, children are expected to learn to speak and do household tasks,
They have to, yeah,
behave
it
well.
is expected that the children are participating in household chores. It is expected, they are taught. And if you don't do your chores, you get a pinch. And so you cannot play. They tell you to, okay, you're grounded. You can't play until these chores are done.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta clean the pots, really clean well,
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta sweep the floor, really clean well,
And of
bring the
course,
firewood.
it's not that they're literally going to do it. It's just they need to go through the motions while they're a baby and when they're little,
Hmm.
and they get ingrained in them the sense of the happiness that comes when you complete a task. Because work is its own reward. What's a
That's
good
right.
Visaya expression for that? Feel good when the floors are clean. You feel good when the clothes are clean. You feel good when you do something for someone else.
I think I
Is
don't
there
know what's the word for that. It's a big word. I think
how about is there an expression?
You're a good person. You say
No,
mo.
feel
Yeah.
reward, sense of reward.
I have no
My
idea
grandmother
about
taught me
that.
that when I was a
Randy,
teenager.
I have no idea of that because it is ingrained in you since
Mm.
you're a child. So there's no word for it. You just do it because
Mm-hmm.
you're taught that way.
Yeah, work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
So
not just you don't just have to work because you have to work. You'll discover
it
that
is,
when you work, you feel good.
and also it's part of life. It's not even called work. Household thing is household chores. It's not work.
Mm.
It's part of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that way. It's part of life. That's because we're alive. So you do these things. And work is when you go outside the house and work,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. But inside the house, that's not part of work. It's just life. So there's no word for it. Okay, too much for that. It's the end of my blog for now. Let's go move on to the next blog later. Bye for now. Au revoir.